I destroyed my comfort zone with this 48-second hack. It was 3 a.m., the moon hanging like a ghost above my apartment, casting long shadows on the walls. I was sitting on the edge of my bed, staring at the screen of my phone. I had just watched a video about someone breaking free from their comfort zone with a simple 48 seconds. Just 48 seconds. I laughed. Yeah, right, this is some gimmick. But then, something happened. The moment I dismissed it, my hands reached for my shoes, and before I knew it, I was standing on my balcony, feeling the cold air bite at my skin. What happened in those 48 seconds completely changed everything. And the craziest part? It wasn't the trick itself that made the difference, it was what happened after. Most people avoid stepping outside of their bubble, but this one shift in thinking, it shattered mine. But let me tell you, it wasn't a simple click of a button or a quick motivational speech. It was something far more dangerous, the kind of hack that could leave you with no choice but to face your deepest fears. Yet, you'll be grateful you did. Now I want you to think for a moment. What would you do if you could destroy everything holding you back in under a minute? Keep watching. You'll be amazed at how something so small can trigger something so big. What if you could unlock the one thing that could change everything, forever? There's a stillness to the night that makes everything feel more significant, as though time itself is waiting for you to make a choice. That's when I felt it. It wasn't the cold that hit me when I stepped out onto the balcony. It was the overwhelming realization that I had just crossed a line. The kind of line you don't see until you're already standing on the other side. A line that separates who you think you are from who you could be. I didn't know it at the time, but that night was the beginning of the end of my comfort zone. And the craziest part was that it started with something as simple as a 48-second shift. The hack, as the video had called it, wasn't complicated. It wasn't about waking up earlier or pushing yourself to extremes. No, it was a shift in thinking, the kind of thing that made the very air around you feel charged, as if everything you knew was being rewritten in real time. But what happened next was more than just a mental switch. You see, growing up, I had always believed comfort was the end goal. I thought that's what life was about, finding a place where you felt safe, where nothing pushed you too far, and everything stayed predictable. But that night, standing on my balcony, I realized how wrong I had been. It was just a thought at first, a tiny spark, but as I stood there, feeling the cold air on my skin, something clicked inside me. The feeling of safety, it was suffocating me. The very thing I thought I wanted was, in fact, keeping me from everything I ever wanted to become. And that's when I realized comfort zones aren't meant to be lived in. They're meant to be destroyed. The next few days were a blur, like walking through a dream that was unraveling faster than I could keep up. It felt like every little decision, every moment of hesitation was a part of the process. And every time I chose to push just a little farther, the world around me seemed to open up in ways I had never expected. It wasn't always easy. There were times when I questioned my decision, when I wanted to run back to the familiar. But then I would remember the feeling of that cold air, the taste of freedom. It was no longer about the comfort. It was about the change. And that change wasn't just external, it was internal, shaping everything I thought I knew about myself and the world. The more I allowed myself to step out of my comfort zone, the more I realized how small my world had been. How much of my life had been shaped by fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. But what I didn't expect was that the more I embraced this new way of thinking, the more I saw my life expand. People around me began to notice. They'd comment on the changes, on how I seemed different. Some even asked, "What's your secret?" But it wasn't about a secret. It wasn't about one moment, one hack, or one piece of advice. It was about something far bigger. It was about the choice to stop hiding behind excuses, to stop waiting for the perfect moment, and just do it. The beauty of that 48-second hack wasn't that it made me act impulsively. It taught me to embrace discomfort as a necessary part of growth. That's when I realized that the most dangerous thing about comfort zones is not the discomfort of stepping out. It's the illusion they create. The illusion that safety equals happiness. And the moment you break through that illusion, you see the world as it really is. endless possibilities, all waiting for you to take them. So, what happened after that night? What was the outcome of this seemingly simple 48-second hack? The outcome was this. I realized that everything I had ever wanted was on the other side of fear. Every dream, every goal, every ambition I had been too afraid to chase suddenly seemed within reach. The trick was no longer about overcoming my comfort zone. It was about realizing that my comfort zone had never been a place where I could truly grow. It was a cage. Now let me ask you this. What if you had the power to destroy everything that's holding you back, not in days or weeks, but in 48 seconds? What if you could see your fears for what they really are and simply choose to step through them, knowing that everything on the other side is yours for the taking? This isn't just a question, it's a possibility. And here's the thought that stays with me. What would happen if everyone realized the same thing? What if everyone stopped waiting for the perfect moment, the right time, the ideal conditions, and simply took action, no matter how small, how uncomfortable, or how uncertain it seemed? Maybe, just maybe, we'd all be living in a world where comfort zones are no longer boundaries. They're just distant memories of who we used to be. So I challenge you, think about your own comfort zone, the things that you're holding on to, convinced they're the safety net that's keeping you grounded. What if they're not? What if they're the very thing that's keeping you from flying? Let me know in the comments below. What's the one thing you've been avoiding because it feels uncomfortable? Let's talk about it. And before you go, make sure to hit that like button, share this story with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories just like this one. Because in the end, it's not about avoiding discomfort. It's about what you choose to do when you face it head on. Stay tuned. The next story will challenge everything you thought you knew. You won't want to miss it.